we have the prayer for the Synod, and perhaps we can just pray it together. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus Christ, you told your disciples, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them. Trusting in your promise, we come together for our 4th Diocesan Synod. Send us your Holy Spirit, that we may participate in this Synod with passion, imagination, and love. Give us, we pray, the gifts of wisdom, knowledge, courage, and above all, charity. Help us to grow in unity and mutual respect. Guide us on the path of the new evangelization as we plan for the future of the Church in Fairfield County. Bless our bishop, clergy, religious, and faithful. May all that we do reflect your divine plan. We pray all this in your name, who are Lord forever and ever. Amen. Our Lady of Fatima, patroness of our Diocesan Synod, intercede for us. St. John the 23rd, pray for us. St. John Paul II, pray for us. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop, and good evening, everybody. It's good to be back to St. Aloysius. It's a great place. Thank you again, all of you, for coming to our listening session. This is listening session number 2 for Vicariate 2, but also beyond, for all those from different vicariates who cannot make their own meetings. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce here our table. It's basically our Synod Commission, starting with my right, Martin Missner, Sister Rita Petrarca, Damien O'Connor, of course you know Bishop Caggiano, Monsignor Darius, Monsignor Orlowski, and John Rodriguez. We're part of the Synod Commission. The purpose of today's meeting is basically what it is, listening session. For us to listen your opinions, reflections, any comments you have about the diocese. So this is not really a Q&A session or discussion or a forum. We are only here to listen your input. That input is important because it will be used later on for determining the topics of our synod, and those topics are coming from you. On your handouts, if I may point to you, on the other side of the prayer, you have on the bottom 3 questions. Those 3 questions basically will be 3 different sections of our meeting today. Let's divide about them 30 minutes for each of those questions. In the first one, I will ask your opinions about what do you like about the diocese. The second question pertains what is missing, what should be new added in our diocese from the ministries. And the third question is what we already have but should be maybe improved, tweaked, did something different with what we already have. So these are 3 different areas. We spend about half an hour with each of those areas. The meeting will run as follows. I ask you please to volunteer your input on all those questions. And because we have a very nice crowd, I would suggest that we will limit the speaking part to about 1 or 2 minutes. And you can basically give us your reflections. You can say pretty much whatever you wish to say. There is no particular format on that. The only thing is I would like to say ahead of time that there are things that the Synod will discuss and things that Synod cannot discuss. The Synod itself will be basically about things pertaining to the Diocese of Bridgeport. We cannot decide about universal church. So questions about universal discipline of the church, Bishop, I don't think we can do that, can we? No, sorry. So it's only pertaining to the Diocese of Bridgeport. But I think it's still good forum to express whatever we would like to express. To make this whole thing running smoothly, I hope, I have divided this whole audience into 3 sections, if I may. And there is a little bit of a divider line in the back sections and front sections. The front section to my left is section number 1. 2 back sections are section number 2, and to my right, this front section is section number 3. The reason we did so, we have also volunteers with microphones in each of those sections. And we'll take one person from the first section, go to the next, and to the next. Hopefully, that will guarantee that we will smoothly run through the meeting and avoid as much as possible passing the microphone. So hopefully, that is going to work well. Also, just for the full disclosure, we are audio recording this session to make sure that we catch all your comments and we have that input properly put into our commission so we can process it. So I think we are ready to start our session, and let's go to the first question. If I may ask somebody who would volunteer to say something about what strength of the diocesan ministry, what are the strengths of diocesan ministries? What do you like about Diocese of Bridgeport? Do we have anybody from section number 1? Raise your hands. Oh, don't be shy. Come on, St. Aloysius, I know you. Steve. Wait for the microphone, please.
Well, I would like to say that I think, especially in the last couple of years, I've seen the strength of the youth ministry program of the diocese has been really ramping up, doing some wonderful things, trying to bring a lot of the youth together, and it's been a steady climb of improvement. So I think that right now is in a good place and can only keep growing. So
that's great. Thank you very much. Do we have anybody section number 2? Section number 3? Oh, yes, please.
I'm very happy about the number of deacons that we have in our parish. They've been terrific so far, and we have another one on the way, and I think that that is something that has certainly worked for us very strongly.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Section number 3? Section number 1? Yes, there's
I'm very happy that this synod is being held, and I think that's a real compliment to our new bishop and to our diocese.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I attended a fundraiser for New Covenant House a few weeks ago, which unfortunately Bishop Caggiano was out of the country, couldn't make it. But something like that I felt was very well done. And if there could be more of that type of outreach, getting hands dirty, as you say, in the street, I think that would be better. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, section number 2, please.
Yes, I would like to add to what the lovely lady said before about the permanent diaconate program. St. John Fisher House is critical to our diocese. And I think those 2 institutions are actually the foundation of our ministries in this diocese. We all should be very proud of them.
Thank you very much. Section number 3. Yes, please.
These are not my ideas, but a fellow parishioner who couldn't be here, but I support them. There are 6 bullet points. New leadership of openness with a family mindset and a willingness to engage the community. 2, several priests with a pastoral approach who have the admiration of their parish community. 3, higher educational resources like Sacred Heart University, Fairfield University, and several well-regarded diocesan schools. 4, quality professional, committed, and talented Catholics. 5, remarkable financial resources that are still untapped in my estimation, given the number of disengaged Catholics. 6, the first women's conference is set for October. I think that could be strength and a future strength.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
I just follow on the comment about the New Covenant House breakfast. I think the diocese does a remarkable job in social services broadly, and particularly the way the diocese in the annual appeal partners with private groups in the laity. And I'm thinking of the Malta House and the Shepherds Program and St. Catherine's Academy and New Covenant House and the Thomas Merton Center. I think that's a model for being very effective when it comes to social services.
Thank you. Section number 2. Yes, please.
Our Catholic schools, I'd just like to say that the support of the Catholic schools in the diocese has been felt greatly, I think, in the last few years, and appreciated the support of the diocese.
Thank you very much. Section number 3. Yes, please.
I think the media coverage in 2014 is great. We have instant access to everything that comes out of the diocese, the bridge, the Fairfield County Catholic, and the Synod, and on Facebook, Twitter, so it's really good.
Thank you, appreciate it. Section number 1. Section number 2. Yes, please.
I would like to draw attention to St. John Fisher House from the dimension of seminary as a place where young men can go and actually discern intensely for as long as it takes, because discernment is a very long and complex process.
Thank you. Section number 3. Yes, please.
As a pastor, I'm grateful for the marriage preparation program. It's been a great help to our parish.
Thank you. Section number 1. Do we have anybody? Number 2. Yes, please.
I serve as the president of the Norwalk Senior Center Board, and Catholic Charities has been incredible in partnership with our Meals on Wheels program. So anytime that any of our members can't afford our meals, Catholic Charities is always there to pick up the slack. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, section number 3. Yes, please.
I'd just like to mention our music ministry. I think it's one of the finest in the Fairfield County, and it brings such joy to our congregation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Section number 1. Yes, please.
Hi. I have to say, for various reasons, including extended family, we visit a lot of parishes for Mass, different times, and I just always feel welcome. There's a lot of great pastors, and some of whom are here, and it's just wonderful to go and see that. As much as I love my parish here, we have a great experience in St. Jerome's, St. Matthew's, and around the county.
Thank you very much. Section number 2, please. Yes, please.
The 2 evening confessions during Lent have been wonderful, and I think that has brought a lot of people back to confession who haven't been in a long time. I think that was a great.
Appreciate it. Section number 3. Going number 1. Yes, please.
I'd like to compliment the staff at the Diocesan Center because, especially the RCIA group, they have always been so helpful and so informative. And in the last several years since I've been involved with RCIA, they have been very, very supportive. The staff is always friendly, always available, and to be congratulated for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Section number 2, please. Section number 3. Yes, please.
I am really thrilled with our Support Life program here at St. A's and the March for Life. To see teenagers, college, they're the ones that are going to really change our beliefs.
Thank you. Again, we go into section number 1. Yes, please. Just the microphone, please.
I think it's wonderful the number of speakers that are available in the diocese for people to attend their conferences and meetings throughout the year, which is really wonderful for people to attend and stay in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other comments? Okay, one more? Yes, please, go ahead.
I would just like to say that I got involved with the CCD program here last year, and I have been quite impressed with the staff, the dedication, and also their support. It's been tremendous. So.
Thank you. Any more comments? Yes, please, section number 3.
I would just like to thank Bishop Caggiano for listening to so many different groups in the short time that you've been here. That set a wonderful example for all of us, and I think if that's the spirit in which we conduct the Synod, it will be very successful.
Thank you. Okay, you have one more, please.
I'd like to compliment the diocese on the quality of the Fairfield County Catholic newspaper. It's always full of very good articles, and I read the whole thing from cover to cover the day it arrives. I think it's keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more comments? Or no? Well, I think we should probably move to question number 2. The question number 2 is, I would like to see the new diocesan outreach in. So basically, any areas that you think that the diocese is not covering so far and it should be included. Any comments on new ministries, new outreach, please? Section number 1.
I'd like to see an outreach to what I perceive is an untreated area in special needs children. I've been communicated with at a number of occasions about parents of the younger children, let's say in the primary grades, not middle school. And I know several are intending to write you about this, but it seems to me that everything else that we're doing in that area, there's a hole there. I'd like to see us improve that with an outreach and bring the message, or the good news to that age level.
Thank you. Section number 2, please. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd like for the first thing to be thought of is that the outreach should be really more of an in-reach. I grew up a Catholic, and an awful lot of being a Catholic is kind of automatic and easy. So you do it and you pass on the responsibility to the church, the priests, etc. We have a great untapped storehouse of people who really should be doing most of the heavy lifting of being Catholics and helping to run the parishes. That would be a great in-reach for us to do.
Thank you. Section number 3, please. Yes, please.
I would like to see the Diocese of Bridgeport institute at the diocesan level a singing program for church musicians and to encourage more laity to get involved in the church music programs, and also to help train up-and-coming leaders for music programs here in the diocese, so that every single church in the diocese can have beautiful music for its liturgy.
All right, thank you very much. Section number 1, please.
I look forward to intra-vicariate communications regarding programs and ministries, particularly as it might attract the youth or a contemplative prayer group.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I'd like to see people, the diocese and various parishes, do more for the young families, the 30-somethings. I educated 3 daughters as Catholic. 2 of them went to Catholic colleges. None of them are going to church, and they're not raising their kids as Catholic. And I know a lot of other people my age
who are experiencing the same thing. And what I've seen work in other parishes is babysitting during the more popular masses and preschool programs, so that these parents discover that the church is there to help them, and they get familiar with the priests, and things go from there.
Thank you. Section number 3, please. Yes, please.
Where have they gone? When people mention the word Catholic, many seem to think of strict rules about sexuality, contraception, marriage, divorce, abortion, end-of-life issues, homosexual marriage, male patriarchy, and women's ordination. This occurs with both Catholics and non-Catholics. Unfortunately, the association with the joy of the gospel is not the first thing that comes to mind. One has to wonder why there seems to be a diminishing interest in participation in Catholic parish life. The young, beyond confirmation, are less involved. Some return to be married, often after a period of living together. They may seek baptism for their children, but this does not necessarily mean that they engage in parish life. Some go to other Christian faiths. Some don't seek any worshiping community. Recently, a young adult woman boasted in a radio interview that she was an ex-Catholic. It would be important to discover the reasons for all of this. Respectful and welcoming dialogue may be a start. Silence or muted discussion about the issues mentioned above will not serve us well. Do we want them back? Do we want them to stay away? Can we benefit from authentic listening? Can we find common ground? Our ministry in our parishes and our dioceses is to invite them back so that they can experience parish community, sacramental grace, knowledge of the scriptures, and the healing love of God.
Thank you. Section number 1, please. Yes, please.
Just like to see some more youth service programs to get the kids more actively involved and actually serving, as opposed to just coming and doing single events at their own parish, but have them cross parish so that they start to meet other children or other teens or other youth in the area, and they gain a greater respect and understanding of the other Catholic children in the area.
Thank you very much. Section number 2, please. Yes.
I'd like to see more of an outreach to families that are going through divorce and their children. I see advertised in the bulletin the retreats for those who have had abortions and the healing process and coming to grips with that, but maybe those families that are suffering and their children that are suffering due to divorce.
Thank you very much. Section number 3, please. Yes.
I have 3 recommendations. Firstly, administrative help to parishes to relieve pastors of the burden of caring for the physical needs of the churches, as well as human resource help in hiring competent, qualified staff and in the ongoing education oversight of parish employees. Second, a review of the screening, training, and supervising of priests in the diocese, and to encourage socializing and community building among the clergy so that priests aren't isolated and so that they have healthy, supportive relationships, and problems such as mental illness and addictions could be identified sooner rather than later. Lastly, I'd like to see more social justice involvement by you, Bishop Caggiano, and our diocese, following the example of Pope Francis, speaking out against gun violence, income disparity, corporate greed, immigration reform, among many other important issues, and not to ignore issues within our own church. I know, Bishop Caggiano, that you have the same name as our Pope. You both share Italian heritage, and I'm thinking it might be a good idea if you try to talk to him about a decision that was made 20 years ago. I think it's called Ordinatio Sacerdotalis. And I thought maybe you could influence him and promote women's full equality in our church.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
I'm sure this is going to come up again, but in terms of development, adult spiritual development, someone mentioned contemplative prayer earlier on. I happen to be a lay Carmelite, and I need to travel up to Shelton, to the Diocese of Hartford, to to get involved in that third order. And I would like to see the promotion and recognition and creation of more third order, such as the Carmelites, such as Franciscans, for adults in our own diocese.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
We have 2 prisons here in the diocese housing over 2,000 inmates. And I think that criminal justice is a critical area that we should be looking at, as Matthew tells us, visiting the sick and taking care of the poor and visiting those in prison. And so I would urge that a prison ministry, I know Norwich has one, Hartford has one, and I would urge that attention be given to that here in Bridgeport.
Thank you very much. Section number 3, please. Please.
I would like to see training for new DREs and ongoing training, so it's not such a challenge when you start. 15 years ago, we had a week-long training at Sacred Heart University, sponsored by the diocese, and it was fantastic.
Thank you very much. Section number 1, please.
Since I'm also of Italian heritage, and my grandfather come from a place called Sacco in the province of Salerno, which is right next to a town called Caggiano, I would also like to say a few something. Ecco, parliamo italiano, paesano. No, I would like to see, there are great education programs around lay teachers at St. Leo's in Stanford, St. Michael's in Greenwich. I was wondering if we can get something on a diocesan level, like a rotating conference on questions like doctrine, on why we think the way we think, why we believe the way we believe, and not so disparate, because trying to get to some place like Fairfield University at 7 o'clock on the merit leads to words that that are not conducive to Bible study. So. Thank you.
Molto grazie. Section number 2, please. Number 2, please.
I'll pick up the mic. It's been mentioned before, young adults. Like my compatriot here, I have 7 children. Only one of them, I believe, is practicing partially Catholicism. Others have gone to other religions. Others not practicing at all. A number of them, they've all gone to Catholic schools, some to Catholic colleges, all to elementary school, some to Catholic high schools. And as I look around the group, and I'm 70 years old, I don't really see a lot of 30-year-olds, and I didn't see them in the first listening session. So the people we need to get to, and the people who are leaving the church are not represented here, at least in the 2 listening sessions that I have seen. So I think we need to do something about the young people, the young adults, and the young families.
Thank you very much. Section number 3, please.
How can we encourage the girl to become a nun?
I'm sorry?
Years ago, we have so many nuns in the Catholic school, and you see the kids that have more education, more religion, more kids that sit at the church. I don't know how to explain it myself. I wish I could talk in Italian. Okay? Vogliamo
We
vedere?
understand, yeah. The
Vogliamo
idea is to have
vedere
more
le
nuns,
suore.
how to do it.
Okay?
Thank you. Sure,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Section number 1, please.
I'm Chris Ayu from St. Aloysius, and I'm very involved with the Emmaus Retreat here. as well as other retreats in Fairfield County, and we really don't have a centralized retreat center that the diocesan is run by. It's run by them, us actually. And I would really like to see that for everybody, to promote also youth and young adults to come on like a night retreat, something different.
Okay, thank you. Section number 2, please.
Because of how expensive health insurance and healthcare costs are, I was on the cusp personally of not having any health insurance, and luckily a friend of mine introduced me to Christian Healthcare Ministries, which is a healthcare cooperative specifically for Christians, and I was able to afford it because the idea of the Christian Healthcare Ministries is that we pay each other's healthcare costs. So when you're well, you help pay for somebody who's sick. And I don't know if I'll send it in an email, the website, that this could be something that the diocese, it's hard for me to speak publicly, could be made known and available, because there are a lot of people who do not have health insurance and can't afford their health care costs. And this could be a ministry to provide that so that we don't have to do Obamacare.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Section number 3, please.
I'd like to see the diocese develop a program to empower young families to teach their children the faith before they arrive at religious ed in the first grade. I think that from baptism, I think this is some generations that have not been catechized, who have their children, they are baptized, and they arrive in first or second grade with no knowledge. And it's really not the parents' fault, because they don't know how to address or to teach their children what they don't know. And I would love to see a program that bridges from baptism straight through, so that parent is always a partner. If we say that they are the first former of faith, then I think we have to give them the words and the knowledge and the confidence to do what they need to do.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Hi. I would like to see at the diocesan level an office of liturgy to train the various lay ministers, to help encourage RCIA rights in the parish level, to just coordinate generally and be a resource for all the parishes.
Okay, thank you. Section number 2, please.
Obviously, we talked about the need with the youth, and Chris mentioned a separate retreat center, which would be wonderful. But even if we could just get the Emmaus program amongst other parishes in the diocese, it's extremely powerful here, and it brings the families together. You bring the kids in the building, and the parents come with them, and it's changed a lot of families in our parish. And I think separately from that, if you look at what Cardinal Dolwins in the city is doing with Theology on Tap, we have that whole gap with the millennials, the young adults, and then look what happens to the 30-year-olds. We really need to do a better job with all our young adults. And I think we should take a good look at what's going on in the city, because I'm hearing from our daughter that there's a lot of momentum there with that. And then thirdly, this one's pretty simple. I bet you if we raised our hand right now, 30% of the people would know that St. Catherine Academy exists, and I didn't know about the Adult Center in Norwalk. If there was a way we could better educate the whole diocese about just what we do and what's out there, and the need just to spread the word and to get us all engaged, not financially, just spreading the word and being involved and supporting.
Thank you very much. Section number 3, please.
In our town of Darien, there are 10 houses of worship, and there's a loose affiliation of Council of the Clergy. There are 2 Roman Catholic parishes. They're very, very active parishes, St. Thomas More, our parish, and others. A lot doing the same programs, some not, and some gaps. I'd love to see the pulling power of those 10 parishes, put aside the faith, they're all Christian, work together to really pull up and harmonize and build on the strengths of one denomination and another. I think it would be very helpful. Right now, it's kind of loose in its affiliation, but maybe it could use some structure, and it could be benefit to all of the 20,000 people that live in our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Good evening. Welcome to St. Aloysius. I'm John Emmert from St. Aloysius Parish. I'm going to talk about something that I think is more difficult. It's subtle. It's a change in the church in attitude. Last September, Pope Francis gave an interview called Big Heart Open to God. It's an extraordinary document. Look at it. It's in the American Magazine, September 30th. In the interview, the Holy Father said we must be a missionary church and reach out to the marginalized. It's not enough to open the door and welcome. We need to, he said, let us try to be a church that finds new roads, that is able to step outside itself and to go to those who do not attend Mass, to those who have quit or who are indifferent. In essence, all those who are in need. But the clergy and religious can't do it by themselves, and they shouldn't do it all by themselves. Archbishop Chaput, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name properly, of Philadelphia, has emphasized the importance of the lay vocation. And he said that the church should continue to encourage lay people to form organizations within the church to minister to the poor and the needy. I think there are also groups of people within our diocese who are marginalized, divorced and remarried Catholics, lay people who have no voice in the choice of their bishops and priests. Women, let's make sure that we give a maximum amount of attention to increasing a role for women in the church. People who are in same-sex relationships, and also I think people who are members of Voice of the Faithful are marginalized. And Bishop Caggiano, I'd like to commend and thank you for your efforts to reach out to people at Voice of the Faithful and encourage you to continue that type of activity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Section number 2, please.
Yes, hello. Gentleman over there was talking about the lack of young adults. Here's one. I'm 28. Okay, so I have to be briefer now. Another fellow mentioned Catholic education. That's been somewhat of a theme. And the lack of the young adult voice, I think, is tied very closely to Catholic education in the diocese and the church in general. This place, Fairfield University, and we also have Sacred Heart. And as I was mentioning to His Excellency before, I think the affiliation of these schools with the Catholic Church needs to be scrutinized, finally. And this is going to be difficult because these places are very loosely affiliated at best and downright oppressive and, dare I say, heretical at worst. And these things finally need to be recognized because there's thousands and thousands of young people going into these places, right? Everybody goes to college these days, and we're wondering why the Catholic Church is fading. This might have something to do with it. I speak firsthand. So this is all that I urge His Excellency and the Synod to consider.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
I would like to see outreach to our gay brothers and sisters who love the church but do not feel loved by it. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Thank you. I would like to see a very proactive fight against, take advantage of the unpopularity of Common Core. There are so many people looking into private schools and Catholic schools now. I'd like to see a really smart marketing effort and for a way for parents of Catholic school kids to contribute to the salaries of the teachers and so we can keep them and not lose them to the public schools.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
2 points, 2 suggestions. First thing about different parishes we have, I'm in Norwalk, different parishes we have resources. Sometimes we don't share. Every parish is in its own, so we can't, usually we don't send people to another parish for the food pantry because sometimes I feel we don't share resources. If we could share resources in one way, spiritually and materially, that is one thing. And the second point is there are a lot of resources available from the government, whether it is housing, homelessness, but sometimes we are helpless. If somebody comes to me on a Friday, I can just give him call Catholic Charities. So what does he do till Monday or Tuesday? So I feel there is my helplessness. I don't know if there is something which can be done immediately. In the parish, there have been someone who gave money to this person, but I cannot help financially. But can we do something more? Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
I would like to see more outreach to interfaith groups such as Connect, so that we can work in an interfaith way to solve many of our social ills.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
I'm going to try and summarize perhaps some comments that have made before. I believe the Roman Catholic Church, which includes the diocese, should reach out to those individuals who were born Catholic, raised Catholics, and have stepped back from the Catholic Church because they feel alienated. They feel that the Catholic Church doesn't mean anything to them today. Now, our new Pope in Rome, I believe, is taking a step in that direction, but I believe that the Catholic Church should take an active role in trying to find and bring those people back rather than wait for them to come back.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I would like to echo the comments about young adults. As a young adult, when I wanted to get involved in the church, the things that were available were being a CCD teacher, which I am. My class was confirmed last week, and helping with the teen program, which I help with that too. But I think college age 20s and 30s, I think there's a real need to reach out to them. I think the bottom line is that if you don't lose them, you don't need to get them back.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
I think it's wonderful that we're speaking about all the children that are not coming back to church, but I think we're forgetting about a very important group, and that's the seniors. There's a lot of seniors that are lonely and don't have anyone to help them, and I think that's something that we could possibly do.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Our liturgy is a significant pillar of evangelization. Currently, we have 2 forms of liturgy, and I believe that the diocese is going to need to do an outreach to both the clergy and to the faithful Catholics who regularly attend liturgy. I say this because of our 2 forms of liturgy. It's evident, and it's the elephant in the room here among faithful Catholics, that there's significant disagreement about the 2 forms and polarization that exists. I believe the diocese will have to begin working on a unification so that our liturgy can be outreach to other rather than a source of disunity amongst the faithful. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
In our prayer here, we prayed about the path to the new evangelization. And I would like to recommend that all the leaders, whether it be youth ministers or CCD or the disabled people, all the leaders, every single one that has, all of us actually, read and study or set up a group, if we can set up a group study of Evangelii Gaudium. Because I'm thinking that programs are really good, but if we don't have the fire of what we're really about, like to draw kids, I hear this cry for kids. And somebody told me one time, some kids, they don't volunteer, or we can't get enough volunteers. And it happens like in high school, where kids do not want to join a losing team. We have to raise the bar. We have to raise the bar amongst ourselves. We have to dig deep in our roots and find the joy of the gospel, because joy is contagious. Kids don't want sad places to go. They just can't stand going to a sad place. So to draw them by our faith, a live faith, and how we stir that up is to partake of what has been given to us in that exhortation. It's called an exhortation for a simple reason, that we exhort one another in the joy of the gospel, that we live in the fullness as being Catholics.
Thank you. Section number 3, please. I think the microphone is off.
While we welcome
Thank you.
Catholics through the RCIA program, and we state in our parish bulletins that we encourage Catholics back to talk with a priest about returning to their faith, we offer nothing to those who feel driven away from their faith because they see a failure of leadership in the institutional church, because the focus is often judgmental rather than compassionate, because they feel marginalized, because they are even told by fellow Catholics that they should look elsewhere for a faith community. Where is the compassion that we are told is at the heart of our faith? I believe we need listening ministries in all of our parishes. One of the responsibilities of such a group would be to offer exit interviews to lifelong Catholics who have supported their church through the years, both financially and in service. The Catholics I have spoken to who made the decision to leave did not go lightly, but rather after much soul searching and a deep sense of loss. They deserve an opportunity to be heard. A listening ministry would say that we are the compassionate, caring community that we claim to be, and it just might keep some of those who we will be trying to woo back over the next decades.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Yes, I'd just like to add a couple of comments on prison ministry. The state of Connecticut has a very, very good prison ministry that already exists. It's a sub-ministry of the Order of Malta. It's become the national ministry of the Order because of the work we've done here in Connecticut. And we're doing a lot of good work inside and outside the prisons. And we'd like the opportunity to basically educate and inform the public, in this case through our parishes in the diocese. And we're doing this on a larger basis simply because people have no idea how dysfunctional the criminal justice system is, how much it costs us, both financially and spiritually, and we're prepared to be able to come through and make those presentations. Besides that, we're writing a book, and two of His Excellency's very close friends are guiding us in that matter.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
Yes, we've had lots of discussion concerning how do we get the youth back, how do we get the senior citizens back. I would like to touch on another group of people, former priests and nuns who for valid reasons are no longer involved in dispensing the sacraments and who remain practicing Catholics should be called upon to play roles similar to deacons within their respective parishes. The effective ad campaign to welcome back lapsed Catholics should be tailored in a way that would speak specifically to welcoming back this tremendous resource of talent who certainly could lighten the burden for pastors.
Thank you. Section number 3. Yes, please.
I am Director of Faith Formation,
And I recently returned from a conference for parish catechetical leaders. And I learned a staggering statistic. I learned that of the Vicariate Institute did a study, and they said that 74% of children going to Catholic schools do not attend Mass, and 76% of children in religious education programs do not attend Mass. Something's not working. I think what's the problem is our parents aren't catechized, so I think the outreach should be to a family catechesis rather than children's education. Jesus taught adults and blessed children. We teach children and bless adults.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are coming slowly to the end of this particular section, so we have one more question from each of the sections, please. Section number 1, please.
Hi, thank you. I think it would be great to create links on the website for specific volunteer activities with like a sign-up genius or something like that that can go either directly to supported like the Malta House or Covenant House volunteer activities that you can do, or other, for example, mentoring programs, after-school tutoring, or professional vocation support that can be linked with the community college, so people can have more opportunity to help the people maybe who aren't Catholics to go there, teach them, support them, and then bring them to the church.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I'd like to follow up on the 28-year-old's comments about education and just make a suggestion that, or recommendation or request, if other people within the diocese and within our Fairfield community can consider other Catholic colleges. I'm one of 7, and I'm blessed to have all of my 7 siblings have gone to smaller Catholic colleges. Everyone still has the faith and has learned their faith, and I think there are nowadays other excellent, albeit small, Catholic universities out there that are sprouting up that have an opportunity to offer the faith to people if they're given more promotion and more support, maybe from the diocese.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Section number 3, last question.
I would like to see a program similar to what is being done in Bridge to Life in Queens, where there's material assistance being given to women in financial need, maybe unwed. Even their other children, not just the newborn, and possibly counseling services, if they so choose, to help them hopefully make the right decision.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your input. We have talked, this section was about what the new initiative we could have in the diocese. Let's move to the question number 3, and let's talk about what we have in the diocese, but maybe we should improve, change, tweak, do better. So I'm opening the forum again. Section number 1, please.
Thank you. I look forward to improved continuing education for priests regarding end-of-life issues, particularly understanding of the terms, what is hospice, what is palliative care, the teachings on feeding, and of course sometimes, perhaps there's times where priests wouldn't be able to visit the dying for reasons that just exist in the family or for the dying person. I do work with dying people, and the hospice people and myself have had a number of issues where we look for just continuing education. There's a lot of new science there. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
First thing I need to tell you is I'm Polish, so I have a direct connection to one of the patrons.
Dziękuję.
I was born in Argentina, so there you go. What I have to say basically is somewhat professional. I have to admit to being a market research guy. And one of the things that I think we need to do is to better understand why people want religion, why people need religion, and what actually would get them to appreciate it. Because I think we make a lot of assumptions about religion,
and what motivates it. There's an old Chinese saying that says, "A man convinced against his will remains unconvinced." We need to better understand what motivates people before we start worrying about the programs that we put together for them.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
Hi. Okay, sorry. I want to talk a little bit about youth ministry and pastoral services. I have to say that the fraternas in youth ministry have been very supportive of all of our efforts here at St. Aloysius. Whenever I ask them to help us, they are here. Whenever we ask for people to come help with vocations awareness from the diocese, they are here to help us. John Paul touched very nicely on the notion of more service. And, you know, here, when we talk about our young people, if when they leave us, they don't continue going to Mass and partaking of the Eucharist and serving others, we have as parishes and a diocese, have failed them. So, and I think it starts earlier than youth ministry, and that's why I want to bring pastoral services into it. You know, we try and find here at our parish opportunities for our families to serve together. And quite often we have to go out to other organizations who are doing things like Feed My Starving Children, something like that. I would love to see our diocese come up with a diocesan-wide Catholic service event once a year that we all participate in. Intergenerational, young children, confirmation students, teenagers, seniors, single, everybody. We all work together along with our leaders from the diocese. I would like to see that as kind of another thing that pastoral services and youth ministry could do for us. And then also I would love to see, as John Paul said, some more diocesan youth ministry service events where Bishop Caggiano is serving with the teens. He's getting down in the trenches with the teens and serving those in need. And I think he would do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
I'd like to build on the comments that this young woman made earlier on about end-of-life issues. I also work with dying patients, and I would like to see, I think that we need to convert some of the rooms in our Catholic nursing homes into hospice rooms, because hospice is, I just think of myself if I were dying, and what a wonderful thing it would be to be in a place that is a Catholic, that has a Catholic atmosphere, that I'm attended to by Catholic priests, by sisters, whomever, and that my faith is with me until the end. I've seen too many people who die alone in hospitals with no one to attend to their spiritual needs. And we have enough Catholic nursing homes in our areas and in the diocese that I think it would be fairly simple to convert a couple of rooms in each nursing home to hospice rooms.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I'd like to contribute further to a common theme that has been presented by multiple people. As I think safe to say the youngest person in this room, I came from a family that disintegrated by the time I was an adolescent, and I spent several years at the Fisher House. Education is such a central theme, so fundamentally important. I recall a few summers ago at my home parish in New Fairfield, we were watching Father Robert Barron's Word on Fire documentary, and afterwards we were discussing some things and talking about the youth groups, how I was saying oblivious they were of the gospel, the meaning of the gospel. Although we've all heard it, we have ears but do not hear. And I said, yeah, they're oblivious. We need to teach them. And he said, well, whose responsibility is that? And he was pushing it towards the church. Let us remember, people go to church 1 hour a week. Children go to CCD 1 hour a week for a few, and they miss a lot of Sundays. CCD is what, half the year maybe? So we need to bring it back to the family. St. John Paul II spent so much of his time focusing on the family, which has disintegrated in modern times. The gospel is meant to be taught every single moment of one's existence. It's not doctrine up in the air. the incarnation, the embodiment of doctrine. It's in potentia until it's on fire, right? So we have to show our youth that, and that occurs in the family first.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
I'd like to propose that before a priest is assigned to a parish as a pastor or associate pastor, that he be interviewed by an elected committee of parishioners who would also have the opportunity to review his personnel file. It would also be helpful if he could spend some time in the parish before assignment so that he could determine and the parishioners could determine whether it's a good fit. After reviewing his file and interviewing him, the parish committee should then make a recommendation to the bishop to appoint or not appoint, but the committee should also have substantive reasons for doing so, and it should make that recommendation in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
Thank you, members of the panel and Your Excellency. I just want to say, having been at the confirmation mass last Saturday here at St. Aloysius, it was wonderful, and it was all we talked about for hours. That being said, I guess what I would like the panel to consider is raising the age at which we administer confirmation. In our parish, it's 8th grade. Typically, those students are 13 or 14. Having taught for many years, I can tell you some of them are prepared and some of them are just not there developmentally. I think it would also help to bring that into the high school age and perhaps bridge some of the gap and not lose them. So I would like that to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
Hi, I am a Catholic priest, and building on what you all turned around. Yeah, there's a few of us here. Building on what the gentleman said about being interviewed by a committee before being assigned and having our personnel files looked at and everything. Just as long as it's mutual, you know. I'd like to look at your personnel files too. And after meeting with you, I'd like to have the option to say, you know, Bishop, I don't think it's going to work. So it is a two-way street. The other thing that I'll say is that one thing that hasn't been brought up, and I don't think I'm going to get applause for this, but that's sort of my trademark in life, unfortunately. You know, there's also the option to go to a smaller, more fervent church. And I got the bell already for that.
Yeah, you just got 1 minute.
But the idea that 76% of religious ed students, if that's true, don't go to Mass. Well, 25% do. And we need to make a decision as a diocese whether or not we want to support priests who say to those parents who aren't coming to Mass with their children, sorry, you can't participate in our religious ed program. It's only for people who attend Mass with their families every week and support the church. Now, we're not at a point yet where the priest is going to be supported for that, but that is one way to go, a smaller, more fervent church.
Okay, thank you. Section number 3.
I think by now we've touched
Your
on a lot of
microphone is off.
By now we've touched on a lot of subjects that we could give to those sections are really, the 3 questions are pretty much one. I would like to see the church in some way organize a kind of a talk session or seminar which would perhaps meet once or four times a year, perhaps, and discuss some matter of doctrine or church belief that people would be interested in discussing in an intellectual way and increasing their understanding of the depths of the meaning of some of the doctrines of the church. I don't think it would catch on immediately, and I think it would have to be nursed along, and I think people would have to be encouraged to put a question in the question box at the parish, so that the pastor or the priest of the parish could consider, what might be interesting for the next quarter, and go to the trouble of finding some speaker, some leader for that group who is really a wonderful leader. There are wonderful leaders around, but not everyone is one, and I think it would be great if we could ferret out the best people for that task and ask them to encourage this kind of effort.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
I think that Bishop Laurie faced an onslaught in the public square of attacks on Catholic freedoms and public issues relating to Catholic doctrine and Catholic practice. And I think the diocese still has a lot of work to do in terms of its effectiveness in the public square. Not that the efforts that were made were not very good, strong efforts. And I think it ultimately comes down to how do you get Catholics in the diocese to identify first and foremost as Catholics, not as Republicans, not as Democrats, not as members of a particular club or an employee of a certain company. First and foremost, they're Catholics. And I think that starts with having people develop their own personal spirituality and relationship with God, encouraging them and teaching them to pray, having them come to Mass every week, and spend more than just 1 hour a week in prayer or at church. So having holy hours, Stations of the Cross, Eucharistic adoration, all the things, the richness of that the church has to offer. Encourage those things throughout the diocese. And hey, maybe we might go to a restaurant and see somebody bless themselves and say grace before they have dinner. Get people to pray.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I would like to see ongoing training for the priests in terms of their homilies, the priests and the deacons, and a review. I don't know if something like that exists, but I think there's a need for it. And a second point, Chris Otis got up and spoke, and I don't know how many people in this room know Chris Otis, but I would like to see her cloned. She has...
Chris, don't hide. We see you.
Chris has initiated a number of the programs that have surfaced tonight, and as well Marie Pascal, starting with the young families with the 0 to age 5. They were not covered before, but they're beginning to be covered. And now there's a whole new program starting on, I don't know what you're calling it, Chris, but family outreach or something. But it's fantastic. And I have to commend Monsignor Scheid, because he has allowed all this to happen. And we have the most incredible, vibrant, and vital parish here at St. Aloysius.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
I'd like to come back and address once more the relationship of the pastor to the parish. I think this diocese is blessed with an incredible array of strong pastors. I really do. I think the thing I would like to see is that the institutional memory of the parish be considered in the transfer of a pastor. To look at the programs that are in existence and not necessarily throw them out and start anew, but to look at them and refresh them and strengthen them and redirect them. I think too often when we get a new pastor, we start afresh in everything. And I think that's a case where the relationship between the pastor and his parish makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
With all the wonderful programs that we have and all the volunteers that we have, I thought it would be really nice if we could have almost a 24/7 hotline. We've had many parents who have lost children, who have lost family members. We have many children who have lost their parents, and they come to us, and we do what we can, but if we had a hotline for them to tap into right away, it would be amazing.
Thank you. Section number 2.
There's a thread running through some of these conversations, some of these observations, and that is formation, education of our children, and concern for the 30-year-olds and younger who seem not to show up. And sometimes I think we treat this as a one-way street. We go to them, or they come to us. We need to do something along the lines of the Polish, Argentine, American market researcher over there and find out what these people think. And here's my little observation. We need to form our people, lay and clerical, to dialogue with the secular world. That means we need to bring a critical mindset to our own views and beliefs, and a respectful and not exclusively critical mindset and approach to the secular world in its literary and scientific forms, to name just one. Respect from us will garner respect from us to them, will garner respect from them to us.
Thank you. Section number 3, please. Section number 1.
I'd like to build on something that's been said already, that I wish that we could have more outreach to other Christians and people of other faiths, other religions, in working toward relationships with the secular world.
Thank you. Section number 2. Yes, please.
It was mentioned before that children are in CCD 1 hour a week. They're at church 1 hour a week. They're in public schools 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. And our public schools are rapidly becoming social institutions, and they are taking over social real estate that used to belong to the parent. And I think parents are caught a little bit flat-footed here. And I think there needs to be an outreach to parents to help them understand what belongs to them and how they should be teaching it within the context of our Catholic faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 3. Yes, please.
This is from my fellow parishioner, but he suggested that you would consider forming a lay-led group that could address certain projects and would report to you and could make recommendations.
Thank you. Section number 1.
Yes, I'd like to go back to the religious ed. We have a program at St. Francis called the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. I don't know if you're aware of it. And I think that you start with children at the age of 3 to 6. And when you talk about that 76% that do not go to church and the 24% that do, these children that are in the program, they get it. They understand at a very young age who Jesus is to them. And this program, should be I think in every parish. So this is something that should be addressed and thought of.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I think in Fairfield County, we're lucky that we have an incredible amount of talent. And I suspect that there are many areas within a parish where we're not utilizing that. And one of them would be the financial area and the burden that it puts on the pastors. We have people in this county who are handling millions of dollars a day, and they're trained to do that. And we have pastors who are not trained in that area, nor is it why they signed up. And I'd like to see a change that would eliminate some of the time that they have to spend. Anyone here who has run their own business knows how time-consuming just maintaining the books is.
Thank you. Section number 3, please. Yes, please.
I have heard nothing but good things about you, Bishop, and I welcome you to Fairfield County, and I hope you're here to stay for a long time. feel strange because I feel like there is an elephant in the room we have been ignoring, and that is the situation of abuse. I am from a family where people don't go to church. My husband specifically left and registered at another Christian church. It's very discouraging to me. People who have left the church have no respect for the leadership of the church. Not individuals, but as a broad group. I think someone has to step forward as a leader and apologize for abuse, to step forward and talk about the financial ramifications of all this abuse. Where are all these men who were guilty of abuse? Is there any financial payout to them, or do you just throw them to the wolves and let them fend for themselves? I think we have a moral obligation as Christians to be financially responsible for these former priests. I just can't go on, but I had to bring this up. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 1, please.
My topic would be evangelization, and I want to echo something I heard earlier, but expand on it. And Mrs. Ayub spoke to the possibility of a center that provided for weekend conversion experiences, such as Emmaus, where we bring youth. It's been my experience that community-supported programs like that lead to evangelization. We've witnessed here, and I've been in Emmaus since 1981, I've witnessed many families coming back to their church as a result of their child having had a deep experience on that weekend. But I don't want to limit it there. There have been many conversion weekend type experiences that we've all experienced. And I think in this era, when we are focusing so pointedly at evangelization, that it might be a bold and proper move for the diocese to actually create a program asking the community to financially support the construction of such a center that's focused on evangelization at all levels and seeking that financial support from the community. I believe that would take the faithful and put their skin in the game, so to speak, in addition to the great, for instance here, the 150 to 200 adults we have that volunteer each Emmaus weekend. It's just a wonderful way of creating community. I envision that for the diocese on many of the programs that might be designed to bring not only youth, but young adults and the elderly and the infirm and the special needs all together at a center that boldly represents the opportunity for those groups to take a whole weekend together to formulate what they want to do with those souls. Thank you.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
I don't know if anyone else in the room listens to K-Love Radio, but I only listen to Christian music now, and it really has changed my life. So Christian contemporary music is a very powerful force of the Holy Spirit. So 96.7 is K-Love Radio. Anyone listen to K-Love Radio? Again, I think this also is with the evangelization because it is positive. I've been through the Life in the Spirit seminar. I've been at St. Aloysius for 18 years, and there's never been a Life in the Spirit seminar. We need to be bringing these spirit-filled, calling the Holy Spirit to give us the strength to go out and evangelize. And I've asked about it, and I feel like nobody even knows what I'm talking about. So that's it. Bringing Life in the Spirit seminar.
Thank you. Section number 3. Please.
I just have to say that I'm very saddened when I hear clergy or lay people say that the 74 or 76% or people who have gone away aren't important. I just feel that Jesus created an inclusive, universal church. I've been blessed with wonderful priests at St. Jerome's. Father Blanchfield is here, and priests at St. Jerome's have been welcoming. They've planted seeds. If the children are come and the parents aren't coming, or the children go to an Emmaus weekend, that's a rippling effect. And I think that I would urge you, Bishop Caggiano, to, you've already set the tone of being open and welcoming, and that's the tone that I love seeing Pope Francis promote love and inclusiveness. Thank you.
Thank you. We're coming to a closing of the section. We have one more question from each section, please. Section number 1.
So I'd first like to say thanks. It's been a rich and interesting conversation. And I've heard, a lot of, I think, very enlightening comments. I heard a lot of speculation, hypotheses, anecdotes about a whole population of people, though, that are not in this room. And I think the diocese could improve the ministry by trying to engage that population of people in a conversation like this with the church. So, I know that's a hard population to get in a room like this, but I would challenge you to think creatively, because I think it would do a great thing for improvement.
Thank you. Section number 2, please.
Bishop, just for your information, in addition to the gentleman next to this gentleman, there's 3 poles in the audience. I'm the 3rd. I just want to preface my comments just to say that this is not directed to St. Aloysius Parish or the leadership here or anything, but my concern is about transparency at the parish level, how business is conducted, how finances are conducted. I've seen when parish financial statements go out, it's called financial statements, but it's nothing more than a balance sheet. There's no income statement, there's no revenues, there's no expenses. Nobody's ever accused the church of being a democracy, but as parishioners, parish council members, etc., we should be able to see how business is being conducted. I mean, that's why there's parish councils, that's why there's trustees, not just to sit there and nod your head to the pastor and go, and it's not just at the parish level. I've seen in a major U.S. archdiocese where the financial statements, again, just balance sheets. There was one line item for revenues, one line item for expenses. That's not being transparent. That's not being transparent at all. And that's what we need as parishioners, as members, as vital members of the church at the local level, at the diocesan level, what have you.
Thank you. Section number 3, please.
Someone spoke about the training of priests, and I'd like to just suggest strongly that women theologians be brought in to teach in seminaries. They have so much to offer. It's another voice, and I think it's a very important piece in the training of our priests.
Thank you. Thank you all for your good comments. And before I turn the microphone over to the Bishop, just next steps, explanation, what's happening next with your comments. As you know, we are collecting online forms, Form G, LSCL, and that input combined with your input today, it's going to be processed by this commission, and we will recommend basically create a report of major areas of interest, and we will give it to the bishop, who will choose the most important areas that will be discussed during Synod. That's why your input is so important. I'm very grateful for your participation today. Before I, again, turn the microphone, special words of thanks to Monsignor Scheid for hosting us today, and Dr. Howard. Thank you very much. Thanks for volunteers, Chris Otis and many, many others who helped today with microphones and open everything and set up for us. So thank you very much for your help. And now I'm turning the microphone to the bishop.
First and foremost, I think you would agree with me, and I think you expressed it very well, that this was a very insightful and a very meaningful exchange of ideas and input. And as I did in the first session, some of you were at that session, now this session, I'm very grateful for your honesty and for your willingness to speak your mind, because that's the only way we could move forward, is if we are that respectful of each other. And there's a wonderful spirit in this room, as there was in the first session. We had 97, well, at least 97 interventions, and we had 90 some odd in the first session. And I must tell you, at first blush, and of course I will defer to the commission, there is some commonality arising. I'll be curious to see what happens in the third, fourth, and fifth, but there seems to be general areas that are a concern across the board. And please God, those will be the topics that will become the foundation for the Synod, the general areas that we'll dig into together. But one thing I need to remind you of, and it is this, and I need to remind myself of this as well, that the synodal process is discernment as much as it is decision-making. Whatever challenge we face as a diocese, the Lord will lead us to what we need to do to grow. But we need to listen to his voice. The church has really gone astray when we make decisions without discernment. And therefore, I'm going to ask you to continue to pray for the process, for those involved, for the delegates, for the commission, for the study committees. Please pray for me, too, in this process. Because we all want to do what's best for the church. We're not going to do what's best for the church unless we ask the Lord what is best for the church, because it's his church. And he will always lead us forward. So may I ask you to do that? That's your homework from this session, because you gave me enough homework, let me tell you, all right? So what goes around comes around. A word of thanks to all of you, but as I said in the first session, I think we are all very grateful, I myself in a particular way, for all of the pastors who are here tonight. Because, you know, they are, as we've noted, they're very burdened. There's many things going on in the parishes, but they are also here because they also want to listen and take to heart what your thoughts are. So to the pastors who are here, and to all the priests who are here, the deacons, and to all of you, I am very grateful for your presence. One last thing. As honest and as forthright and as very informative as our discussion was, tomorrow at 1:30 at Notre Dame, we'll be gathering about 300 young people, because I firmly believe we have to stop talking for them and let them talk for themselves. And if it was anything like the session I had here at St. Aloysius, I am so looking forward to have those young people come forward. So give a thought tomorrow and a prayer tomorrow for our young people who are gathering, because they are the young church. They are an honest church. They are very direct. And I think they know what they need. And they know what they want. And we will have to have the courage to be able to respond to what they're going to tell us. So please say a special prayer tomorrow for that session. I wish you all a very good night. Get home safe before it starts really raining very hard. And God bless you all.